Thank you for joining the City of Chicago BACP Small Business E-Expo. We will begin our first webinar, and the webinar is Making the Switch, presented by ChiBibHub, which is an extension of World Business Chicago. Before we begin, please note that if you are part of the Business Start Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn more about the program, please visit chicago.gov/business-workshops. I will provide this information in the chat box as well, so you can reference it there. If you have any general questions about the Expo, please email bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. You can reference the agenda for the day by visiting ChiSmallBizExpo.com. And assuming all goes well today, this webinar is being recorded, and we will upload the webinar session to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ChicagoBCP. For this webinar, we will have a question and answer opportunity at the end of the presentation for questions related to the presentation topic. Please use the chat box to ask questions, and make sure you send the questions to all panelists. And before we begin, a little bit of background. ChiBibHub is a portal for aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners looking for resources to start, scale, or accelerate their business in Chicago. They are very close partners for the City of Chicago, and we work closely with them to promote resources to Chicago's entrepreneurs. With us today from ChiBibHub is Kendra Thomas and Jasmine Garcia. I'd now like to pass it over to Jasmine, who will introduce additional panelists. Jasmine?
Thank you, Elisa. Appreciate that. I actually want to give, welcome. Appreciate y'all joining us today. I want to give you a little bit more background about what ChiBibHub is. ChiBibHub is an initiative of World Business Chicago. It's dedicated to providing resources for entrepreneurs and small business owners that are looking to start, grow, or scale their business. We help grow the entrepreneur community here in the City of Chicago through our resource network with over 165 nonprofit, government, and educational organizations that serve small and medium-sized businesses. We're committed to providing you with resources to help your business thrive. And as part of this, in March, ChiBibHub launched our COVID-19 resource and support page at www.chibibhub.com/COVID-19 support as a place where you can regularly turn for updated resources and information to help your business weather the storm. The page is frequently updated with valuable information on resources, programs, grants, and more. Please head over to our website for more information. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up for ChiBibHub's newsletter and follow us on all social media outlets. I'll go ahead and kick it off to my other half of ChiBibHub, Kendra, who can introduce other partners of ours on this great presentation that we have today.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. We appreciate that. We are delighted to join Chicago Business Affairs and Consumer Protection today, and we thank you for the opportunity to allow us to share our platform with our other panelists. And so I'm going to turn it over to Laki very shortly, who will tell you a little bit more about what he does. And so this is a key example of what ChiBibHub really is all about. It's about really working with a lot of our community partners and ensuring that they are being uplifted and that the work that they're doing is definitely being shared with different networks. So we are extremely excited to have Laki join us today, and he is going to be, along with his colleague, sharing some great information today. Laki, did you want to go ahead and get started?
Good morning, everybody. Honored to be here, and thank you so much to ChiBibHub, BACP, World Business Chicago for having us today. We've been talking about this with our team, and we've been really excited to really share some of our insights on making the switch. So I'll give you a little bit about background of myself and my colleague and our companies. So we're Chicago Asian Network. We are a full-service multicultural marketing agency that serves the Asian American community in Chicago. We've been around for about 10 years now. We also have our sister company, Panal Solutions, on international web design, mobile app development, search engine optimization, really digital solutions help startups, small, medium businesses. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sharing with you some of our insights, but we designed this presentation to make it as easily digestible and more palatable for a lot of business owners who are about to make the switch or who haven't made the switch from their traditional business to an online business. So a little bit about myself. I have about 12 years of experience in multicultural marketing, strategic community relations, and business development. I work with a lot of businesses that want to do specifically targeted outreach and marketing to the Asian American community. Fun fact about myself, I also used to be a registered nurse, and I'm a huge foodie. After the pandemic, I made it a point to try every new restaurant that opened up in Chicago. So I'd like to turn it over to my colleague and partner, JR.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us. Really excited to be here. Yeah, so JR Kalanok, run a digital and design company. Been in business about 8 years or so. Service companies here in the U.S. We have about maybe 650 clients that we continue to take care of in terms of digital marketing and development. Just quick fun fact, like to run a lot, scuba dive, and fly small planes for fun. So that's me.
So our firms have worked with multiple clients, from large-scale corporations to small, medium-sized businesses. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about why businesses need to make the shift. Right? We're going to give you guys some real-world examples of shifting to digital. We're going to show you how to digitally transform or adapt your business for e-commerce. And we're also going to give you some tips and advice on how to find the right web design company or agency to work with if that's something you'd like to do. And then at the end, we're going to have some questions and answers. Let's begin. And Kendra and Jack are also going to be joining in. If they have questions, feel free to stop me and ask me, or if you need me to clarify anything. So businesses need to transform. A lot of you know this already, but especially with the pandemic, this is something new that a lot of businesses have not seen, where we've had to shut our businesses down. Social distancing is in effect. So you've seen a loss in revenue. Some of you may have had to lay off employees. Some of you are not allowed to be open in the public. And so a lot of your competitors are also probably trying to figure out how do they adapt or pivot as well. How do they stay afloat? And then another reason why you must digitally transform your business is that due to the pandemic, people are working from home, which means more people are spending a lot more time online. And that's where you have to start to focus your marketing, your sales, your outreach efforts to get more business.
Laki, before you go to the next slide, can you share with our audience, have you seen more people in specific industries that are reaching out to you and your colleague, maybe because they had not thought about transitioning or transforming their platforms digitally? Have you seen an increase? And then if you have, are there any specific industries that you have seen increases in?
Sure. My experience, a lot of people in the food industry have had to start doing more digital outreach. I'd say a lot of JR, and I'm sure you've seen this as well. A lot of restaurants have not only switched to digital, but there a lot of them that have used to use just, let's say, Uber Eats or Grubhub are now trying to use all different types of platforms. So you may have seen this in the news recently, but there was quite a large backlash to these companies that took large percentages of revenue, between anywhere between 20 to 40% from the orders of these restaurants. So it hurt a lot of these restaurants. So they started looking for other solutions. So I'm now seeing a lot of these restaurants try to access other types of digital platforms. So people in the food industry, I've also seen a lot of people even use something as simple as social media, or businesses that don't even have a website, resort to social media just to be able to adapt. JR, if you have any other specific examples you'd like to.
So I'll just to answer your question, I'll just give some examples of clients we've worked with in the last maybe week and a half. So health providers like chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapists have switched a lot to online sales in terms of giving gift cards and selling online sessions. So we've seen a big shift in that, because obviously they couldn't see their regular clients as much. Lockie's already discussed restaurants. A lot of the being able to show online menus, being able to either provide pickup or delivery has been we've seen that in restaurants. Another surge we've seen in restaurants are apps also, because that provides more specific functionality for restaurants. A couple more, really interesting. It might be interesting. Schools and services. They're starting to provide their online services more, so you have to set up your website and your systems to allow for that. 2 or 3 more industries, we've had a couple locksmiths reach out saying, I'm an old school business. People call me. I need to be online now. What do I do next, right? So lawyers, a lot of lawyers that have typically worked on referrals are now saying, okay, I know that if I'm not online, I won't be in business. We've also seen a lot of car shops and car dealers also figuring out how they can connect with their consumers online. So those are just a few folks that we've worked with in the last few weeks that we don't usually see, but I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. I definitely think that our audience will appreciate that. And just even, as we continue to go throughout the presentation, I know we have different people that are in those specific industries. Just a little bit that you shared will definitely give them some different innovative ideas as well.
So in the beginning of the pandemic, the first notice that started to adapt to restaurants. I saw an article on NPR that said that these restaurants, aside from providing food options, because they didn't allow people to come in or dine in, they had to find additional sources of revenue to stay afloat. So they started offering grocery services as well as the food options that they normally have on their menu. So when somebody would go to a restaurant and order something, they would allow people could also pick up toilet paper, flour. This is another example of a really good transition. There's this company called Model United Nations that I'm good friends with the founder, and they've been around for about 8 years now, and their business model is completely is summer camps. So they do a lot of leadership training and debate training, where students from across the country fly into different cities, and they organize debate teams. Normally, the cost of it was very cost heavy, because they had to book hotels, handle a lot of logistics, book event venues. Due to the pandemic, they lost all their revenue because they couldn't do any of that. So they had to switch everything to online. They were worried first because they've never done it, and it actually ended up being a success because they gained access to new that normally couldn't afford these programs. So I believe their average cost for one student was anywhere between $750 to $900 a student when it was live. When they switched online, they cut it down to about $150, and despite the lower revenue, it ended up being higher profit for them because they didn't have to spend on any logistics, airfare, housing, meals, and hotels. And so they were able to make the switch pretty much overnight, where they ended up opening up a Shopify account and started accepting students that day. Another example is a bakery we work with in California. Normally, they are open throughout the year, but because of the pandemic, we've had to help them switch to online. And JR, if you want to talk about this, because you worked on this project specifically.
Yeah. Is this? I'm just checking on the slide. Is this our Goldilocks? I'm just seeing. Okay, cool. I thought there was another slide for these guys. There. Oh, okay. So this is a slide I saw. Okay. Yeah. So Goldilocks. Again, they're a Filipino bakery. You can also go into their stores, and it's also a bit of a restaurant. Their main customers has been kind of first generation Filipino Americans that are really looking for that Asian food, and a lot of the customers will go to the restaurants and bring their families. Of course, with the pandemic, a big shift in that was their people aren't able to go, so they had to do a quick pivot to online sales for their baked goods. One of the biggest challenges that they had was when somebody went online, people weren't sure what you could actually buy online versus what you'd have to, because they're a bakery, what can you buy online that can get shipped to you in a specific amount of time versus what's at their store, right? So they had to do a quick move to figure out, okay, we need to build an e-commerce site that's specific for our online products, for the things that we can send, within 1 to 2 to 3 days that won't go bad. And just being able to make that shift to allow their online store to easily on mobile, on iPads, on desktop, order the pastries that are able to be sent online was huge. The user experience kicked up their sales immediately, their first month, by 60%. It's been growing exponentially after that. And so that's one. How are they selling, right? So they were able to sell online. But two, they needed to let people know, right? So basically, the digital marketing strategy was, okay, let's let Filipino Americans, Asian Americans in the Bay Area know. So we said one of the strategies was, okay, Facebook, Daly City, San Francisco, San Jose, 50-mile radius, folks that like birthday parties, folks that like cakes, folks that like Filipino or Asian food. Let's send our ad, and we focused on taro. So taro or ube. Lucky, what's ube? Ube desserts. And that initial ad, I think, with a budget of $100, $150, I think reached about maybe 6,000 people, had about 450 clicks, and had about a 20% conversion rate of people that purchased from those clicks. So it was a very successful campaign and very timely for them. So quick example of a bakery shop.
Thank you, JR. And one thing as well, you as a business owner probably, especially if you're a retail store, it may cost you a lot of money to sell, just on the shipping alone, to do one thing at a time. You can also consider bundling your items together, and that's something we've seen a lot more companies do during this time. Sorry, go ahead, Jasmine.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure that our audience kind of took in the example that JR gave, because I think, and we kind of talked about this when we brainstormed the presentation, right? About like, what does investing look like for your business during this time? And he gave an actual value, like with a budget of 100 to 150, this is how many people that you were able to reach that otherwise you wouldn't have, right? So you're putting like an actual number to this. I know it's a specific example to here in the food industry, baked goods, but I want our audience to make sure to kind of like noodle on that and think about what that means for their business, just as an example.
Sure, yeah, and the Q&A, we can go more into detail if anybody has questions about that. We're seeing a lot of gyms as well make the shift to online, where they're holding more online classes as well, or outdoor classes, and they're accepting payments online as well. So it really has changed the way a lot of businesses have had to operate. Let's talk more about e-commerce. I'm sure most of you already know that everybody's on their phones, and because of that, the largest e-commerce giant here in the States is Amazon. And you've seen over during the news that even though most businesses lost money during this pandemic, they're one of the businesses that gained a lot more profit share because people were buying online. So just to give you some statistics, and I'm sure a lot of people already know that e-commerce is a big thing, but it's really a huge $1 trillion industry, right? And in the U.S. alone, in 2019, 601 billion was spent in the U.S. just for e-commerce. So let's call it. There's the business to consumer model, where you're a business to sell to the consumer. There's the B2B model where you sell goods or service to another business. Consumer to consumer model, where you want to put something up on Facebook Marketplace or sell something on eBay, as well as consumer to business, where you want to sell your products to a specific business. Other specific examples of e-commerce, and I'm sure there's a lot of businesses here on this webinar and listening to the replay that come from a wide variety in background. This is to just give you an example of what e-commerce businesses are. You have the traditional retail business, the wholesale. Drop shipping is when you have it's manufactured by third party, so you actually handle more of the administration side. There's the crowdfunding, where if you want to create a product or start a project, you get funding from the public or from people online. There's a subscription-based model, and you see a lot of this now through, for example, these meal kits, where one of the things I do is I started the keto diet recently, and I was not good at cooking, so I saw an ad for a keto meal kit subscription where they would send me meals 3 times a week. I'd get different meals for my keto diet. You have physical products as well, where anything that can be made can be shipped to you. Then you have the digital products, for example, Netflix or Spotify or music. And lastly, you also have services in the share, so people pay certain services for you, but the exchange is done online. Any questions about this, Jasmine or Kendra, before I move forward?
I think during the Q&A, we're going to come back. There are a few business owners that we have that are more in professional services, and so they want to know how to navigate this portion. So we'll definitely come back and address this.
Sure. All right. So a lot of business owners, you want to try to do things yourselves, right? If you want to make that switch to e-commerce, so many people are thinking, where do I start, right? So I've listed down some of the top 10 places to start if you want to create an e-commerce website or e-commerce account. And so I'm sure with all these, you have Shopify, e-commerce, Wix, Magento, Squarespace. I know it might seem overwhelming, so I've taken the liberty to break everything down, understanding all the difference between e-commerce. So if you want something very easy to use, I highly recommend Shopify. It's an e-commerce platform that beginners use, and it is a paid platform, but it's known to be very user-friendly. A similar option would be BigCommerce. They do have more features and cost slightly less. And how they operate is, instead of charging you high fees, they charge you through each transaction. Another one is Weebly, which is good more so if you don't have a lot of products to sell, where if you only have a limited amount of products, that's one thing I recommend. WordPress and WooCommerce is something we use a lot in our business, and JR uses as well, but it does require a lot more technical knowledge. You have to be familiar with coding and design and graphic design if you want a good WordPress site. A lot of people also like Wix because it's a drag and drop instead of coded type of site, so you can see everything in real time. They are slightly costlier than the first two I mentioned, but it is still fairly cheap. At I believe their cost is around $17 per month. There's also Magento, but that also requires technical skills. And another easy one is Squarespace. It has its own templates, but it doesn't allow you to have a lot of customization compared to the rest. If you are a company that has a retail company that has to provide, for example, nails, right? You have to work with a logistics company for shipping these products. These are the types that do a lot of shipping. And JR, if you want to talk more about it, I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Yeah. Okay. So for folks that are product-based, it used to be working with UPS, FedEx, different shipping tools were a little bit more complicated. But now, so on the tech side, you build a website, either you do it yourself or you have someone build it. There's a lot of connections or back-end connections to UPS, to FedEx, to Amazon. UPS, USPS, FedEx. That it's pretty easy. So if somebody says, I want to purchase this product, it's this weight, you're in this location, the numbers, the cost easily pops up. So the way you would expect it to run, it's fairly easy to now set up as part of your business. So this part is now easily integrated onto sites for folks that are shipping. Okay, so successful e-commerce process. So I'll talk about, I think we've been going about 25 minutes. So I'll kind of breeze by. I've got maybe about 5 or 6 slides in terms of the tech side of things. But for those folks, I see some of the questions that are here. For those folks that are kind of more in the professional services, so I did a quick Google search of professional services. You've got lawyers, accountants, consultants, architects, doctors, therapists, event coordinators. I think definitely you have to think a little bit outside the box in terms of I'm a knowledge-based service. Can I still provide my service online or remotely? And if I can, what's the process that I need to set up? And how can I market and bill my clients, right? So it's really thinking it a little bit outside the box and just changing the process a little bit. The good news is people are doing it. It's working. There's a company, for example, before I get into the back end of the e-commerce process, so people can think outside of the box a little bit. There's a company that does, they did landscaping, right? So a company did landscaping. They go in your backyard and fix stuff and make it look amazing. So a company called ChiBibHub now is basically selling their services in terms of designing people's backyards on a monthly service. So you send them a photo of your backyard, they send you a photo back of what it looks like and where are the things that you can buy. And who are the services that you can connect to, and they're now charging monthly service charge for that. They have a lot of good users, and it's been a pretty cool platform. So again, thinking out of the box for a landscaping team to now offer landscaping design online. Okay, so a successful e-commerce process. A lot of this, folks, will be very familiar with already. So when you go into, as a user experience is very important. Login and registration on mobile, on desktop. To being able to view and select the items, users need to be able to find what they're looking for within 3 to 5 seconds. If they don't, they'll bounce or leave from the site immediately. So when you build something, you got to make it, build it well so you can compete with other folks in your industry. Adding the item to cart. Also, there's things that have been left in the cart. So when you build a system, you want to make sure it abandon cart function. Lots of opportunity there for people to put something in their cart, walk away from the computer, forget about it. System is saying, hey, you forgot this product in your cart. Do you still want it? choosing the shipping terms. It really ranges. We just worked on a white glove system for a furniture company, right? They build furniture. So they said, okay, again, thinking out of the box, you can't come to my showroom, so we will charge you based on your location, white glove. We will deliver it. We will wear the right PPEs. We will walk into your house and build the actual desk and furniture, the home office for you, and it's going to cost you, $550 extra. We've seen a lot of people said, okay, I'm willing to pay that extra amount for the white glove service because I don't have to go out and do anything. So again, example of choosing shipment terms, but also thinking out of the box in the new normal. Receiving the item, delivering the goods, processing the order. Important there is using the right system. There's a lot of different systems out there to check your inventory, to properly price your product, to also make sure that there's specific discounts available. So are you giving coupons? Are you giving 15% off the first free consultation, right? So that's also really important on your back end when you're building your service online. And then choosing the proper payment method. As you've all probably experienced yourself, one click, face recognition on your phone, Apple Pay, PayPal, 2 clicks, you've already bought a car. It's really easy, right? So you want to make that experience very easy for your customers. If you're an attorney and you want to charge $100 for a consultation, click here, choose the date, PayPal, done, right? 3 easy clicks and you're ready to go. So that's the e-commerce process. It feels easy when you're the user, but on the back end, it's really important to make sure that you have all the processes in place. Behind the scene, as the business owner, customer placed an order upon checkout. It's important for you to be able to see that new order. Also important that every customer that you get, you build it into your CRM or customer relationship management system. You want to be able to take every single lead that comes in and put them into your database so that you can be able to reach out to these customers in the future, make sure they were happy with the transaction, make sure that everything went well, send follow-up information to them. All of this is built in behind the scenes. This is not something that you want to do manually. Maybe you've been doing it manually, but as you scale your business, it's impossible. Confirming the order, generating the invoice, all automatic. And again, shipping the item should be seamless, should be a seamless process, a well-oiled machine, so that you can focus on your business, right? If you're a bike shop owner, a bicycle shop owner, you're looking at new technology. You're looking at meeting, having discussions and phone calls about what's the proper bike fit. You don't want to be sitting in the back figuring out how to ship your components out, right? That should be built by the system. Next slide, please. Different types of e-commerce sites, do it yourself, hire an agency to do it, or we say get your nephew to do it or get a friend to do it. Do it yourself if you've got the talent, if you've got the time, if you've got the artistic skills, and with a lot of research, you can definitely do building something yourself on Squarespace and Wix and those different platforms. You can hire an agency or a designer to do it. Typically, if you have a little bit more of a budget, you're able to hire a team to do it. That means more professional, more research, and on a specific timeline. And then, if you're just starting out and you have a friend do it, or have a friend or somebody on your team that might do it, that's also good. But the pain points there is you're not on a timeline, you're not on a specific schedule, and it's really tough to scale if you do it that way. Next slide, please. I'll just go through these next few slides fairly quickly so we can get to questions also. When you do outsource hiring a team to build something like your e-commerce site or a professional website that promotes your services, we kind of talk about it like a lot, kind of like dating. If you're on dating apps, there's a lot of options of companies that you can hire. You're making a decision based on limited information. Like you go to the website and maybe you look on Google reviews or maybe you look on Yelp, and that's pretty much all the information you have to go on. So it's tough, right? Recent trends is that, it's not really a quantity of how many folks that you work with. It's really the engagement. It's really the quality of that engagement, right? That you're looking for in terms of hiring a team to work with. Next slide, please. So 4 tips to take with you from this presentation in terms of working with other teams is understand why you want to hire an agency. So the biggest challenges for small business have been, hiring new employees, that's super tough. Increasing profit, that's always a concern. Employee healthcare, always in the back of your mind. Growing revenue, of course, and cash flow. This is how it's important to actually keep your business alive, right? So these are the main challenges. And hiring a team on the e-commerce side and web development and marketing is really takes a part for growing revenue and cash flow. Understand what, if you want to delegate or outsourcing certain processes, what's important, right? So 2 things: outsource either easily taught or highly specialized tasks. So as an example, easily taught is outbound sales calls, right? You have a team of maybe calling potential clients and letting them know you have a special. We see a lot of realtors do this. They'll make outbound calls to commercial real estate companies and say, hey, we have a property. Are you interested? You do 100 calls, you get 10 people that are interested, and you get 1 or 2 appointments from those calls. Easily taught, easily done. Outsource that. You don't want to spend your time making those sales calls. Highly specialized tasks. Okay, you need somebody to develop an online platform that's specific PHP development language. So that's very important, right? That's very specific. Also, you can outsource tasks that you'd otherwise hire for. So if you hire somebody for HR specifically, so potentially maybe that's something you would want to outsource for as well, instead of hiring somebody full time on your team. Okay, so this is just a couple more slides, and then we'll move on. I'll hand it back to Laki. But this is really, I find, very helpful. Folks want to do a screenshot of this, and I think the team is sending out the deck in the future. So understand what you want to outsource. Okay, so as business owners, I'm sure you start your day, you have a million things to do. Right, and then I'm also, if you've hit a certain level of success in your business, you're already kind of prioritizing what's important and what will earn you the most revenue and be the most scalable and have the highest impact, right? So most business owners are already doing that. So this is probably something that you already do. But you write down things what are the things that I do in a day? Obviously, you'll have a list of 20, 30 different things that you do as a business owner. I need to update my website. I need to write content for my website. I need to reply to 20 emails. I need to do technical research. I need to do research and development. I need to do my accounting. I need to do my bookkeeping, right? All these things as a business owner that you have to do during the day. You probably only get to like 3 or 4 of them. Okay, what do I need done that I'm not great at? I like to list this stuff down. Well, I may not be the best at graphics design for marketing. I may not be the best at accounting or bookkeeping. So I'll write that down and say, okay, this is not really what I'm great at. What I want to do more of. Okay, so as a business owner, maybe I want to get out there and network. If you're doing your books all day, you're not able to get out there and network. Obviously, times are changing. We network differently, like what we're doing today, reaching out to people and connecting with people. I want to work on my business. I want to do strategic planning, right? How do I scale my business? Sitting down and actually putting your business plan together on your scaling strategy is very important for business owners to do. But sometimes gets pushed to the back because you're working on some of this stuff that you need to do. So then you figure out, okay, what do I need to delegate then specifically so that I have more time to do the things that I want to do. So maybe based on my list here, maybe I'll outsource code, I'll outsource marketing, I'll outsource accounting, and checking inventory. Maybe these are things that I would want to delegate instead. So this is really how you choose what are the things that you want to outsource to a development team. Don't rush. When you do switch to e-commerce as a small business, when you switch to an e-commerce company, look at the reputation of the provider, look for references, look for jobs that they've done in the past. Doesn't necessarily have to be similar to your position, but it's just more of like, take a look at their look and feel. Have a conversation with them. You want to see if you're a good fit in terms of personality and size. So that means, are these guys that you are able to talk to? If you're a serious person, maybe, if you're super serious, you want a super serious company. If you're more of a relaxed company that, maybe that's more creative, maybe you want a team that's like that, that's more connected. The speed of service, the scope of the service, and the things that are important to you. And lastly, when you do hire a team, very important that you want to make sure that you don't set and forget. You want to invest the time up front with this team. You want to communicate regularly, use documentation, and you want to have goals and set up information for that. So the moral of the story is, when you switch to e-commerce and you hire a team, you don't say, hey, build me an e-commerce site or build me a new professional services site. You want to continuously work with that team. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you so much, JR. Lockie, did you want to just briefly go through a few things and then we can get to questions? We have several questions that some of the business owners have and entrepreneurs.
Sure. I believe we only have 10 minutes left. I'm happy to just jump forward to the Q&A so we can provide as much value as we can for the listeners.
Thank you. So, Lockie, a question that came in from someone in the audience is, with businesses that you were discussing in regards to e-commerce, and you mentioned that when they switched to an online presence, they just had a clarifying question. So were those businesses looking to increase awareness, or were they looking to provide their services online when you talk about those professional services as an example?
Sure, both. I've seen a lot of people, for example, that don't, like I mentioned, that don't have a website, really switch online by just getting the word out there on Facebook that they are providing certain services. So another example that came to mind was I had a friend who was a hairdresser and unfortunately could not, their salon couldn't open, right? So what they did then was, they put up a Facebook post and said, hey, I'm tested to make sure that I don't have COVID, but and I'm gonna do outdoor haircuts outdoors. And it just got shared so many times, and because a lot of people during this pandemic still need to get their haircuts. So that's an example that comes to mind.
We had another question that came up actually in the chat around professional services. So we do have several people that are in our audience that are actually in the professional services field. So are there any particular platforms that you would recommend that they can utilize as they are trying to, one, grow their audience? So maybe there are a lot of people that don't know about them and they're trying to grow their audience, or they are trying to figure out, I have clients, so what is a good tool for me to connect with clients while practicing social distancing?
Sure. One of the things I see is that if you have already an client base, the best thing to do is check up on them during this time, right? You have to read. What I do is I regular mailing lists that I updated on the projects we're doing, and how we're adapting to the situation. You can also use something as simple as just texting your clients, and if you're familiar with Facebook or Instagram, those are all free tools that you can use to just keep in touch with your existing client base. JR, anything to add to that?
Well, that's good. That's good, Aki.
Great. So in regards to shipping, we have a question around what would be a preferred shipping company if you are looking to ship perishable goods?
I can talk to that a little bit. Okay, so it depends on, so it's very similar to the bakery, right? So perishable goods have, it's very specific for your industry and very specific on timing. So let's just use the bakery as an example. If you use the regular post office, what folks have found is that they only ship perishable goods on Monday or Tuesday. And again, this is very different for different locations, right? They only ship Monday or Tuesday because if they found that locally, the post office, if they ship on Wednesday or Thursday, it adds an extra day or two to regular shipping, and there's issues happen with perishable goods that way. Of course, when you use UPS, FedEx, and you're shipping based on rate, based on weight and location, you do pay a premium, and you do pay a premium, but usually we've found that the users are okay paying that premium to know that they're going to get their product while it's still good to go versus maybe. So that would be the suggestion there.
Thank you. Thank you. So this question is actually around the marketing model that you discussed, Lockie and JR. So we have a question from the audience. So does the marketing model have international reach to be tailored to a specific audience, or can it be defined by a specific region?
I can talk to that really quick. So,
sure.
So online, you have multiple ways to market, right? So you have search engine optimization, you have digital marketing, you have retarget marketing. a lot of different ways to market online. But the main feature of these online, the ability to market online, is what you just mentioned, Kendra, is specifically to say, I want to market specifically in San Francisco or Chicago. I want to market specifically to a age group and demographic and income level. I want to market specifically to an interest level, people that like hiking or biking, right? Specifically. So it's very targeted. That's the number one, that's one of the number one pro in doing that. The second thing is it's all trackable, right? So you're able to say, well, I marketed in this region to this demographic, and I know that I had a X percentage hit rate on that and closure rate on that. So so it's very much tailored to what you're looking for. So folks that are doing this well are the folks that are able to get that like larger market share in their industry.
Awesome. So I know we have a few more questions. We'll do one more question, and then Laki, I'll turn it over to you so you can share your information as far as how people can contact you and JR. And then Jasmine will definitely close it out with how people can reach out to ChiBibHub as well. So we haven't had a lot of people talk about nonprofits. So we have a question that came in actually about nonprofit organizations. So the question is, can you use online marketing to promote a nonprofit and receive donations?
I can talk about that really quick also, and I'm sure Laki will want to jump in on that, is so that's an absolute yes. The reason when we talk to nonprofits, we ask them, okay, what's the number one thing you want to do? What's the number one goal? And you know, nonprofits will say, we need donations. Okay, so first of all, what do you need to get donations? Well, you need to let people know exactly, you need to have a trustworthy, reputable, social proof site that shows this is what you're doing, you're legitimate, and this is your cause. Number one, you have to be legitimate online. Number two is you have to be very specific about what your nonprofit is about. So that people that are interested in that specific nonprofit will be able to find you. And then three, your call to action. This is what we do, and this is how you can help. Needs to be upfront, right in the front of the right on the front. Donate, right? Help X, right? So it's very important that your call to action is right up front, so that for nonprofits, people are very clear. You're legitimate. I'm in line with my interests, and this is how I can help.
Thank you, JR. And one of the things, if you are a nonprofit, it's a free tool that only businesses have to pay for. Google provides their G Suite completely free of charge to 501c3s. So you just need to prove to them that you have 501c3 status, and that will save your business a couple $100s a year. If you are not a nonprofit but are needing donations, you can still accept donations online through sites like GoFundMe. So that's another option.
Okay, thank you so much. This is Elisa talking from BACP. I want to thank Laki, JR, so much for presenting to us. Of course, ChiBibHub, thank you as always for being an excellent partner for the City of Chicago and Chicago's entrepreneurs. This was great information. Lots of people still have questions, and if we did not get a chance to get to your questions, as you can see on this slide, there is an email address that you could send your questions to, and ChiBibHub will, I'm sure, gladly connect you guys to the right resources and give you answers to your questions. So thank you again, all panelists, for joining us today for our first ever E-Expo. Thank you so much.